interested. No. If ever I'm given such a huge amount of money, I will donate first to charities and then invest. Take note of that. Invest some. Okay, and of course, the remaining money to buy nice things for my family and lastly for myself. That's very good answer. Ganun din ang gagawin ko dyan. Okay, pero hindi charities. Etong I will be, Maylin Rose, animal lover pala to. Maylin, I would like to build an animal shelter enough to occupy at least 100 stray dogs or stray cats. It will provide them food and shelter, pero konti lang yun, no? So, how about the rest, right? I'm a member of the what do you call this, animal groups, no? And then kanina sabi ko, meron na namang they need somebody to foster a sick dog. Sabi ko, kung mayaman lang ako, I will do that. And sakto naman, no? Ito yung answer ni Maylin Rose. Okay? How about Mark Bryan? Will buy a house and a lot and a car, right? Of course, ganun din ang una, di ba? I will also invest my remaining money in, building various businesses. So, siguro, wag naman yung build and sell. Yung isa kasi kahapon, magpapatayo daw siya ng apartment. Ano problema? Babantayan mo pa, no? So, let's say, investments. I will buy worth 1 million preference stock. $1 million, lahat ilalagay mo, Julius? Okay, that's nice also, but be careful. We have what we call we have to study, no, kung anong investment, portfolio, or whatever. Okay, and then if we have here, James Alexander, invest in banks and stocks to gain interest, correct interest. Okay, isa naman, residential, si Tricia, real estate business. Problema, sakit din ng ulo yan. But anyway, all of your answers are great. No, I enjoy what you call this, reading them. And most of it are also my answer if I'll be given $1 million times how much? 50 pesos, di ba? Naku, grabe. Okay, so actually we have what you call investments. So kasi sabi nyo, most of your answers are investments, no? And speaking of investments, we have to study. We have the long-term investments, short-term, low risk, meron naman yung high risk, high income. Actually, I have what you call this a student. No, actually students before in the field in the College of Accountancy, and isa na lang most of them are already financial advisors. No, yung isa Sun Life, ang ganda kung unong umpisa na lang nag-join na sana ako. We also have what we call the MP2 Pag-ibig savings. Ito low risk pero of course yung earnings mo medyo mababa pero safe and secure. Okay? So all of this, no, what we call investments in the Philippines or abroad involve what we call money, right? And speaking of money, of course, when you say invest, you have to check the investments that is high yield. And how will you get high yield? You have to check the interest. Paano ba yung dividend rates? Are they using simple or compound interest? Kagaya nung MP2, they're using compound interest. Kaya lang variable yung rates. Depende sa what you call this, sa income ng Pag-ibig. Okay, so you notice here, we have the minimum capital, average returns, risk level. As early as now, you have to check all of this. Now, you plan already, okay, on investing habang you're still young. Okay, anyway, this is just to introduce to you our topic because we speak of investments or money and interest. Okay, we deal with investments. Okay, so what is an interest? Anybody? How do we define interest? Anyone from the class? Well, I'm not going to be very specific in the discussion, no? So we already have the handouts given to you. I hope you have read it, and maybe we'll just review some of the basics, and then we present the answers to Module 5 exercises. If there are no problems, then we're done with simple and compound interest. Anyone, what is interest? How do we define interest? Anybody from the class? Umuulan na dito so I hope you're all safe and secure wherever you are right now. And if there are some problems na medyo sa internet connection, it's okay. No, i-check nyo na lang. I'll be uploading my press mat again sa Google Classroom, although we already have it mayroon na tayong in-upload. Okay, so Zyril, we have interest is a fee paid for borrowing money or other assets, correct? Okay, so speaking of interest, we have two, simple and compound. So we should be able to differentiate that also. Okay, so it says here, if you put money in a bank or lend money to someone, they will pay you a certain amount, okay? Or let's say if you have borrowed money from a bank or from somebody, okay, then you have to pay them a certain amount, okay, in addition to what you have borrowed or what you have uh, invested in a bank. So we call this additional amount the interest, diba? So what is an interest and how does it work? Okay, so again, we say it is the rent that the borrower pays a lender to use the lender's money. When we take loan, we pay interest, diba? When we deposit money in bank, we get interest too, correct? Okay, so it's actually the money. Medyo maulan na. I hope you can still hear me, no? So money makes money, and the money that money makes more money. And this, we have two, simple and compound. Okay? We have here the difference on the figure below. You can see already the difference on simple and compound. Ay, medyo bilisan ko, baka mamaya mawala pa internet. Ang lakas ng ulan. Okay, simple interest. Can you still hear me? Okay pa ba? Just tell me, message me kung hindi nyo na marinig. Okay? Okay. So, the first two objectives for this afternoon is we should be able to, again, review simple interest, and we should be able to compute, no, problems involving simple interest. Okay? Just like finding the interest, the principal, the future value, the rate, and how long, let's say, time. Okay? So, again, when you say interest, it's an amount that we get paid for lending money or we pay for borrowing money. Okay, so we have three factors here. We have the principal, rate, and time. Again, simple interest involves interest calculated only on the principal. Medyo maingay na talaga. Let's see. Okay, you still remember this, yung simple interest? We have actually the, what you call this, the interest triangle, no? So anyway, to simplify it, say, amount of simple interest, you have to check how much, at what simple interest rate, and for how long. Okay, that will tell us already, no, the computation of simple interest. How much will you invest? How much money are you going to deposit? How much money are you going to borrow? And at what rate? Tapos, how long? Okay, so these are the three factors. Okay, so these three factors will help us compute, no, that simple interest. PRT. Don't memorize kasi yung iba, they use a different notation. Nakakano yung rain. Actually, it's on the other side ng house. No, my house kasi they're building. Ayan ang naririnig natin. It's not on our roof. Okay, so we have the triangle technique. Ang ingay talaga. Okay, so we have here the formula using the triangle technique. So interest, you multiply PRT. How about if I ask you to find the principal? What's the formula? Using this triangle. I don't know kung dinig na dinig yung sound. I don't have the speaker na microphone na may little stuff. Okay, Sophia and Ariane, clear? P is equal to, divide nyo lang, interest, principal equals interest divided by rate times time, di ba? So may interest pa rin on top. How about if I ask you to find the rate using the simple interest formula? Ito rin. So rate is equal to interest divided by principal times time, di ba? So yun lang. And then, if we have time, how do you find the time? Time is equal to interest divided by principal times rate. So with this triangle, you don't need to be memorizing the formula. Okay, those three formulas. Okay, let's have an example. Will you solve this one and comment it on the chat box? Medyo maingay talaga yung, what you call this? Mag-earphone na yata ako. Okay. This is a very simple problem on financial mathematics. So, how much will you earn in addition to the one that you deposited at the end of the first year? Anyone? Okay, meron ang sagot, no? Very good. $120, diba? So, alam nyo na, right? Okay, so let's see. I is equal to PRT. Always write the formula that you use. Okay, whether that's simple interest or compound interest, you write that formula, and then after that, substitute the values, okay, and you don't need to show me the detailed computation. So after you write the applicable formula, you substitute the values and then final answer right away. Especially we're dealing with money matters, every centavo counts. So the more times we round off, no, magkakaiba yung answer, right? So round off answers at the last, on the final answer na lang. Okay? So, substitute, formula, substitute, and final answer. Nako, yung lakas. How about the second problem? Ganun din, I equals PRT. So, we have the same. So, $288. Don't forget to answer it in complete sentence and with the units. No, we're talking about dollars or US dollars. Okay? We can also have problems like, tapos ba? Let's say, how about if you're looking for the interest rate? Okay, so gamitin natin yung sinabi natin kanina. So, interest rate is equal to the interest divided by principal times time, right? So, therefore, R is equal to the $70 divided by the product of the principal, 3,500, by 612 or 1/2. So, that will be 4%. Okay, 4%. That is the interest rate. How about if you're looking for the answer to the question for how long or how many months must 95,000 be invested to earn this 1,187.50 simple interest with an interest rate of 5%. So again, we have time is equal to interest divided by principal times rate, diba? Okay, so if you just use rate as 5%, the final answer will be expressed in years. Okay? Pero kinonvert niya muna dito sa monthly rate. Okay? So we have now 3 months. Final answer is already expressed in months. I'm going to give you a copy of this. No, binibilisan ko lang para I know you can easily answer this. Okay? Now, speaking of simple interest, we also need, no, sometimes, let's say ang given, we don't know the rate. We know the rate and the time. Pero, we already know the interest. Okay? So, there are cases like, given the principal and the interest rate, the simple interest, not the rate, given the principal, yung interest mismo, what's the maturity value? So, in certain cases, we don't need to be using the IPRT, no? Let's say we're asked to find the maturity value or future value or the final amount. No, these are the same. We are referring to the same money. Maturity value, future value, ano pa yung isa, final amount, pare-parehas lang. And ang difference will be on the notations being used by the author of the book or the one presenting it online. Okay? So the future value can be represented by capital letter A, or it can be represented by S, or it can be represented by F, B, iba-iba, diba? Okay? So, the formula, if we would like to derive it, so the amount of money at the end is just what we call the future value or the maturity value. So, it's the interest earned plus the principal or the original amount of money. Okay, that is the amount of money at the beginning plus interest. Okay? So, algebraically, let's say, we represent that amount of money at the end by S or A or FB, then we just add the principal plus the earned interest. Okay. Now, substituting using the interest formula, the interest is PRT, substitute it instead of I, we write PRT. So we have now S equals P plus PRT, right? And then applying factoring, we solve the equation. Okay, apply factoring, factor out P, therefore we have 1 plus RT. So we have now the formula, another formula for the future value, okay, given the principal, the rate, and the time. Okay, so we have S is equal to P times 1 plus RT. Okay, so S is equal to P plus 1 plus RT. And so if you are given the principal and the future value or the total amount, what you call this, the final amount, and you're asked to find the interest, just subtract, no? So final amount minus the present value, or what you call the principal. Okay? Okay, calculating future value. A loan of $1,060 has been made at 6.5% for 3 months. Find the loan's future value. Take note, the time involved is months. So if you're going to use the simple interest formula, we have to see to it that it is changed to years, right? So time should be expressed in years. Okay, so again, variables given. The P, principal is 1,060, rate is 0.065, time in year is 0.25. So, substitute these values in the formula. A, tignan nyo, A ngayon ang ginagamit. So, as I've said, yung future value can be represented by FV, by A, by S. I'm presenting, don't be confused, no? I'm presenting in case na you will be searching online, at least you know that they refer to the same. Okay, the amount, the money at the end. Okay, so substitute, again, write the formula, then substitute the values, then answer. Yun kasi meron naman kayong calculator, di ba? Okay, so therefore, the loan's future value is 1,077.23. Now, if I ask you to, what's the interest earned, then you just subtract 1,077.23 by yung original 1,060, and then you will get the simple interest. Okay, or let's say what you borrowed 2,500 from a friend and promised to pay back 2,655 in 6 months. What simple interest will you pay? Then you know that you just need to subtract, no? Subtract 25 from 2,655. That will give you simple interest rate pa lang hinahanap. Okay? So, when you say simple interest rate, you are going to substitute the values here. Okay? And then, what you call this? Substitute and then solve for R. R is 0.124, therefore, that is 12.4%. 12.4% of year. Okay? So, it's an interest based on the principal only. Okay? So, we have the principal, original amount, rate, the interest percentage, time, the period of time for which an amount of money is invested or borrowed. So when say simple interest, short period lang kasi yan. Okay? And it's only based on the principal. Okay? So calculation ng interest per year is just on the original amount. So application, these are the common, what you call this, accounts wherein you can see what we call the simple interest. Okay, savings account, di ba? Pag savings account, yung ordinary savings account, they use what we call simple interest. Why? Simple interest, safe and secure. Okay, so don't tell me yung $1 million nyo, ilalagay nyo lang sa BDO tapos savings account lang. Okay, wala na. Kahit ilang years yan, hindi kayo yayaman dyan. So, pwede pa siguro sa MP2, no? Sa MP2, o ito pag-ibig, no? Save. So, notice, savings account is deposit account that bears interest and has no stated maturity date. Meaning to say, you can deposit, you can withdraw anytime, okay? So, you can withdraw it online, ATM, online banking. Okay, ito ngayon ang problema nga sa Philippines, no? Before the pandemic, grabe. There is what you call the statistics says na konti lang ang nag-open or yung may bank account the Filipinos. But then came the pandemic, tumaas na. Tumaas na yung mga number of Filipinos who have what you call bank accounts. Usually dahil sa online banking na sinasabi. And mahirap nga naman mag-deposit. Make a deposit even if you open, I don't know if some of you already have encountered, or let's say some family members of you have encountered, and it's so difficult to open an account. Okay, I open account sa BDO, tapos may isang estudyante na nag-open din ng kanyang account, tapos grabe, they keep on asking the source, para kang ini-interview na akala mo criminal ka, ikaw na nga magbibigay ng pera sa kanila, biglang, ang dami pang requirements, so maybe that's the problem, kaya medyo konti ang may bank account, okay, sa mga Filipinos. Although as mentioned, umakyat, no? There is an increase of in the number of Filipinos who had opened a bank account after the pandemic. I don't know why, okay? Nag-open na sila. Kasi nga, karamihan pwede na online. Okay? You also have the short-term guaranteed investment certificates that is that uses simple interest. We have the GICs, what you call some of this guaranteed investment certificates, okay, or what you call time or term deposit. Again, hindi ka na naman yayaman dito. Grabe rin, simple interest lang. Okay? We have promissory notes. Okay? These are a few of the cases wherein we have simple interest, applications of simple interest. Okay? We also have loans. Of course, when you say loans, they have to check again your credit limit, kahit na sa SSS, no? We have variable interest rate, we have what we call a fixed interest payment date, calculation, security, and so on. Personal line of credit sa bank, okay, home equity line of credit, student loans, and so on. Simple interest din lang naman yan. Treasury bills and commercial papers, okay, yes, you can invest, okay, you can buy T-bills and so on. Pero pag gusto mong yumaman agad, okay, take the high risk, okay, investments. Kaya nga lang variable yung dividend rate. Okay, so we have here treasury bills, and we're not going to discuss that anymore. Okay, so if you want, okay, I'll be posting, okay, link, no, wherein you can check no different ways to invest your money under 100,000. One time, meron sa BDO, no, grabe yung dividend rate, taas. Okay, but then, minimum ba naman, minimum, no, for you to have that stock set, 500,000, 500,000. Sabi ko, grabe naman, ang taas nga ng kikitain mo, pero saan nakukuha ng 500,000? So, anyway, okay, that is on simple interest. Okay, so before we ask questions, let's move on to the last part. We have compound interest. Okay, so what's the difference between simple and compound interest? I'll be asking you later on, no? So the second part of the objective is for us to be able to be familiar or to review, kasi alam nyo naman na to, no? The different compound interest formulas, like finding the present value, finding the future value, okay, solve no compound interest problems. So these are the remaining objectives for this afternoon. So if you try to compare simple versus compound interest, basically parehas lang, no? However, the computation of the interest varies, okay? So for example, you invest $1,000 for 25 years, not about 10%, no? Rate, interest rate. So yung isa, 10% simple interest, yung isa, 10% interest compounded annually. Okay, so notice the first year, parehas lang, $1,000, right? And the balance at the end of 1 year is 1,100, no, for simple interest, because you add the accrued interest, simple interest, to the principal. So we have 1,100 in the first year. Same thing with the 10% compound interest, 1,100. But if you try to observe the second, third, fourth, fifth, up to the 20th, okay, year, nagkakaiba na. So at the end of 25 years, the balance for simple interest, tingnan nyo magkano lang, $3,500. While for the compound interest, na-triple yung value nung sa simple interest balance. It's 10,834. Anyone who can explain why? Why? What is compound interest? Interest on interest. Notice, yung second year, 1,100 yung principal. Tapos yung accrued interest, nagbabago. So every year, the interest on compound interest varies. While for the simple interest, di ba, fixed na 100, 100, 100. And the principal remains the same, no, for simple interest. From first up to the 25th year, 1,000 pa rin yung principal. But for the compound interest, nag-iba na, right? Nagpapatong po yung interest. That is correct, no? So, especially if you miss a payment, imagine sa credit card nyo, no? Let's say, minimum amount lang binabayaran nyo, you're just paying the interest. O, nagtitriple na. Halimbawa, ito yung utang nyo, 1,000. No? Balik na rin natin yan. 1,000. So, at the end of 25 years, 3,500 lang babayaran nyo. Pero ano pa rin, malaki pa rin yun, no? Pero notice, no, pag compound interest, 10,834. So what? Why? Okay, why? What is compound interest? Okay, Einstein was asked one time, and he was asked, what is man's greatest invention? Anyone who can remember that? What is man's greatest invention? And he answered, compound interest. Compound interest. Okay. So in the table, no, in the example, it's easy to see that if you're saving money, you would prefer compound interest. Okay. And if you're going to borrow money, you would prefer to pay using the simple interest, di ba? So compound interest, money makes money, and the money that money makes more money. Yun yung compound interest na sinasabi natin. And from that, we can say compound interest can work for you or against you. Okay, sometimes this is the reason why the rich becomes richer and the poor becomes poorer. Okay, so interest that you pay is a penalty, interest that you earn is a reward. Okay, so it can be your greatest enemy or it can be your greatest friend. So if you are investing it, okay, under compound interest, that's your greatest friend. If not, if you are borrowing money, use your credit card, that will become your greatest enemy, especially if you're going to pay it in full, no? So compound interest works for you when you save and invest, and it works against you when you borrow. Borrowing money is the financial, mathematical, and more opposite, moral opposite of saving and investing. Okay, so compound interest can work for you or against you. It depends on how you do it. So when you say invest, you have to study, no, kung anong mga investment portfolio ang kukunin nyo. Okay, where will you invest? So Jollibee ba? You're going to buy stocks? Okay, there are high risk and low risk, sabi nga natin. So you have to check, no, uh, uh, kung hindi mo naman kailangan yung money, why not? I-save mo. Kasi merong lock-in period, kailangan MP2. Let's say I'm going to deposit 500,000. Ang highest kasi na dividend rate, 8.67%. So there are cases na bababa rin. So may risk, no, risk involved. So you are not going to invest all of that $1 million, right? Kasi kung halimbawa you have bought the stocks tapos biglang bagsak pala, di ba? There are those people who are really good in what you call this, investing on stocks kasi they have time, no? They have time to watch, no? Nakatutok na lang sa computer, okay? Okay, compound interest is used in transactions which last for long periods of time, no? At regular interval of time called the conversion periods. Remember this, no? Sa basic what you call this, business mathematics, the interest is added to the principal, and the new sum becomes the new principal, and it continues, no? Okay, and the final amount can be called the compound amount, the final amount, future value. So the compound interest formula, I'm not going to ask you anymore to derive. Before I have, during the face-to-face class, I ask my students, especially in accountancy, to derive certain formulas. So wag na lang. Parang exercise lang, no? But anyway, we don't have that time. So the compound interest, A, which is the balance after T years or the future value, is equal to P, represents the principal original amount times 1 plus R divided by N raised to NT. This is the more detailed formula. Pwede rin namang P times 1 plus I raised to N. Okay? Pero ito gagamitin natin. Ito yung sinasabi ko. Now, certain books can also have this formula. The future value can be computed by multiplying PV times 1 plus I raised to N. Pero yung I yan, how do you get the I? Okay, that is the nominal rate. Then you divide, no, yung yearly rate divided by the number of conversion periods per year. Then raised to n times t. So parehas din lang. They still have the same formula. They still will give you the correct answer even if you use this. Sometimes, as I've said, A, F, V, S. Okay, so A is equal to P times 1 plus R over N divided by NT. So interest rate per year, yung R, and N is the number of times interest is compounded per unit T. Okay? So when say compounding periods, or I say annually, compounded annually, meaning to say your N is equal to 1. So the interest is computed once per year. If we say compounded quarterly, means 4 times per year, N is equal to 4. Monthly, di ba? N is equal to 12. Pag semi-annually naman, twice. Okay? So that will be daily 365 per year. So these are what we call the compounding periods, the common compounding periods. Okay? Example, you deposit $7,500 in an account that has a rate of 6%. The interest is compounded monthly. So in your exam or quiz, I will not be asking you whether, I will not be telling you whether that is simple or compound. You have to, it's just a problem solving. You have to analyze, ano ba to? Simple interest or compound interest? So you have to check, no, the common terms, no, words like compounded monthly. Alam nyo na compound interest yan. Okay, accumulate. When say accumulate, finding the final amount. How much money will you have after 5 years? Find the interest after 5 years. Okay, so from here we know that this is a compound interest problem. So again, write the formula and then substitute the values. Don't forget the PEMDAS rule. Okay, and then final answer 10,116.38. Okay, so don't forget, substitute, multiply, PEMDAS. Parentheses first, then exponents, then multiply or divide before you add or subtract. Okay, so the interest, just subtract the final, the future value minus the present value. That will give you the compound interest, the interest earned. Okay, so ganun din, parehas din lang yan. Parehas din lang, okay? Parehas din lang. Ganun din. I can give you. How about determining the present value? Okay, so you want to pay earlier. Then we have what we call the present value. Kanina sa simple interest, we say principal, no? But for compound interest, we can also say present value. So if an amount, a certain amount is to be accumulated in years in an account that pays rate are compounded n times per year, then the present value P that needs to be invested now is given by this formula. So present value is equal to A, or the future value, divided by 1 plus R over N divided by NT. We still derive this one from the compound interest formula. Okay? So we can also have this, no? P, parehas din lang pala yan. Okay, how much money should be deposited in an account today that earns 6% compounded monthly so that it will accumulate to $20,000 in 5 years? So from here, you already say, how much money? So halimbawa, ito ang given, no? In your quiz, how do you know that you're looking for the present value or final or future value? You already, it will accumulate to. Alam niyo na, when say accumulate, you're referring to the future value. So you're looking for, and then ano pa, how much money should be deposited in an account today? The keyword today. You know that you're looking for the present value, okay? So we use the present value formula. Your future value, or A, is $20,000. Rate is 0.06. N is 12. T is 5 years. So use that formula, substitute, you will get 14,827.44. Okay? So how much must be invested? Parehas din, present value yan. How about, okay, so ganun lang naman, pa ulit-ulit lang. So it's just the same as solving problems. So the technique is for you to, of course, read and understand. Ano ba to? Am I looking for the present value, future value, or what? Is it simple interest or compound interest? Okay? And in addition, we have the formula for time. I asked one time yung students ko sa accountancy, they were able to derive this formula. Kaya logarithm ginagamit natin. So don't worry, I'll not be giving that. Okay, interest rate can also be solved given the future and the present value. You can use this formula, okay, or the other one, pwede rin ganito. Okay, so these are the other formulas that you need to check, not to use, no? So to end this module, or to end this discussion, it says time is on your side. The longer you save, the greater the effect of compound interest. But also, the longer you borrow, the quicker your debts grow, especially if you're using what you call credit cards. Okay? So when we discuss annuities, we can have more, no, of these items. Okay, so were you able to solve the problem set exercises last meeting? I've given 10. How many were able to solve it? Okay, so some of this might be given in your exam or in your second long quiz. So don't forget, check that one. Okay, so please take a screenshot of it. Ito yung mga answers. And then check it yourself. So you kasi self-assessment then and check. Okay. So compare it tonight after this, after I end this meeting, you compare your answers from the answers here. And if there are some problems, then we discuss it next meeting before we move on to annuities. Okay? So let's say, find the interest earned after 3 years if 12,000 is deposited in a savings account which earns 5% simple interest. So you know that you're looking for the simple interest. So use the simple interest formula. At what simple interest rate? So you're looking for the interest rate. So R is equal to I divided by PT, right? So it should be 6.55%. How much is the maturity value? So A is equal to P times 1 plus RT, okay? So that should be 15,859. How long? How about if you're looking for how long? You're answering the question how long, then you're looking for the time, okay? Time is equal to interest divided by PR naman, di ba? Okay? And find the present value. Present value pa rin, simple interest pa rin, so you know that. What amount of money will accumulate to? Okay, so still simple interest indicated naman yan. Kaya lang if I say find the compound amount after 5 years and 9 months, if the print is compounded annually, you know this is a compound interest problem. And so what present value compounded quarterly, this is a compound interest problem. Accumulate, when you say accumulate, you're looking for what? The future value. Okay? Accumulate 180,000 for 5 years at 13% compounded semi-annually. So the term accumulate means you're going to look for the future value. And lastly, find the compound amount, ganun din. So notice yung formula sa compound interest na formula for the time, ano pa yung sa interest rate, in addition na lang. Okay? I can give that a bonus problem. Let's say I'm going to give you a problem like that and for you to solve. For example, ano ba yung famous na problem ko last sem? Meron dito If I ask you, I'll give you a bonus, no? Challenge problem. How much? I know how much. Ano kaya to? Okay. How many years will it take you to become a millionaire if you save 10 pesos a day, no? At an investment that gives you interest of 5% per annum. Oh, so how long will it take you to become a millionaire, no? If you're going to save 10 pesos a day na may interest rate of 5% per annum. Okay, I can give that as a problem. So what formula are you going to use? Yung formula for compound interest, no, yung formula na ginamit ko. So in case like this, you are going to use the logarithm. So yung mga ganong problem, I can give it as a bonus problem, challenge problem, or in those who can answer, my bonus points. Okay? Pero basically, yung mga nasa quiz or the exam, it will just be the basic, no? Kagaya ng solving for the present value, ano pa ba? Ano ba yung sinabi ko? Present value, future value, interest, ganun lang naman. Okay? So don't worry about that.